Alright, Shalom. Shalom. This is your brother Issachar coming back at you. What another lesson. First and foremost, I could give all praises, all honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Mokwakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elect and the 144,000 scattered across the four corners of the earth. Shalom to you. Alright, in today's lesson, we're going to talk about faith. Alright, because those that believe in the Lord, those that are coming into the truth, you must ultimately fear the Lord first, but you must have faith. Hebrews chapter 11 verse 1 on down. Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, and the evidence of things not seen. Yeah, because the Lord's not physically here. We can't see him. The Lord's here in the spirit. But we can't physically see him. So those who believe in the Lord and who have faith, you're very lucky, because the majority of people on the planet do not believe on him. But why is that? Okay, why is that? It's because it wasn't given to them. So you have to remember out there, you can't just go to CVS, go down, aisle 5 and ask for a bottle of faith, or a pound of faith. It's not happening, because faith is something that's given to you from up above. It's a gift, because not everybody has it. See? The evidence of things not seen. Verse 2. For by it the elders obtained a good report. Through faith we understand that the worlds were framed by the word of the Most High Yahweh, Bashim Yahushai, so that things which are seen were not made of things which do appear. Yeah, so who created the world, the planets, the animals and the mortals, the humans? Who created these things? Look at all the trees, the flowers, look at all the planets, the ocean. Who created all that? All the fishes and whales? Who created all these things? Yahweh. Okay, the Most High gave the blueprint to his son Yahushai, and Yahushai, our Lord and Savior, the 144,000, the angels, created everything you see. Alright? But Yahweh gave them the blueprint. Verse 3. Through faith we understand that the worlds were framed by the word of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, so that things which are seen were not made of things which do appear. By faith Abel offered unto the Most High Yahweh a more excellent sacrifice than Cain, by which he obtained a witness that was righteous, the Most High testifying of his gifts, and by it he being dead yet speaketh. Verse 5. By faith Enoch was translated that he should not see death, and was found because the Most High had translated him. For before his translation he had this testimony that he pleased the Most High. Because the Lord sees your works. So don't ever think that you're by yourself. Because those of you that are righteous, that are part of the Lord's hopeful elect, you're never by yourself. Let's say, in these times that we're coming up, what Jacob trouble, martial law, shutdowns, lockdowns, economic collapse. If you're some of those individuals that have to, because some people are going to get, locked up for this word, for this truth, Some people are going to get taken to camps and separated from their families, separated from society, maybe even black sites, Remember, the angels are going to be right there with you. So the elect are never alone, because the angels always surround the elect. Right here. This is Hebrews verse 11. This is Hebrews chapter 11 and verse 6. But without faith, it is impossible to please him. Okay? So what does that mean? So it's a must. Alright? Hebrews 11 and 6. This is the point. But without faith, it is impossible to please him. So if you don't have faith, you're not going to make it. For he that cometh to the Most High Yahweh must believe that he is. And what does Yahweh's name mean? He is, he exists. And that he is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him. See? Huh? A rewarder. So those of you that believe in the Lord, you're not doing this thing for nothing. Your works follow you. You see? So it's just like when you work at your job, it's just like, it's just like anything else, you work at your job, what are you going to get at the end of the day? You're going to get that check, right? Okay, so same thing with the Lord, your work is not in vain. Those of you that work out there, try to go to the gym, because you're trying to, work on, your health, your body. If you really, go to the gym and, eat better, change your habits, change your way of life, you're going to see results. It may take a little while, but you're going to see it, You're going to see them, in due time. All right. Hebrews chapter 11 verse 7. By faith Noah, being warned of the Most High Yahweh of things not seen, as yet moved with fear, prepared an ark to the saving of his house. Yeah, because Noah moved with fear. Alright, Noah was out there prophesying by himself for 120 years. Imagine that. And then coming home and building that ark. Can you imagine that the whole world rejected and made fun of Noah? The only people that made it was Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and their wives. A total of 8 people. And Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, flooded the whole earth. Imagine that. Imagine that time, So, you want to talk about holding it down? Shoot, Noah held it down. Held it all the way down. Because back in that time, it never rained before. It never used to rain. You just had the dew of the earth. And you still have that today. Remember how in the morning, you guys ever notice that, when you wake up, when you go outside, your grass will be wet, and you'll be like, hey, the sprinklers haven't even turned on yet. How is the grass wet? Because that's called the dew. Okay, it comes from the earth. See that? So before the time of Noah, it never used to rain. Like as right now, you have rain, it never rained. So can you imagine it never rained? So can you imagine Noah telling people that it was gonna rain? People looked at him like he was crazy, like he had 3 heads. You know what I'm saying? Same thing like the majority of people look at the prophets today when they say that Esau's going down, martial law is coming, Yahweh and the angels are coming in spaceships. People look at the servants and prophets like, yeah, right, you're crazy. That ain't gonna happen. The prophets are telling the world that these nations are getting ready to nuke each other, But now you can see that a little bit because it's being made evident. Evident means being made clear. Because before, people used to, laugh at, prophets about the ICBMs. Like, yeah, right. Like, that would never happen, These nations would never use them. Now, look. Who's laughing now? You see, because we're so close to the Lord's arrival that it's evident. I mean, it's being made clear. Okay? It's being made clear, what's true and what's not true. Because these nations, their go-to weapon is the ICBMs. Starting with Russia. Remember they have their dead hand, because if their motherland gets attacked, like let's say if Russia just gets wiped out, their ICBM system called the dead hand from Russia will automatically start, and fire off to where Russia wants them to go off. So these nations, their go-to weapon, when they feel threatened, and including America, is what? Those missiles, the ICBMs. Okay, Iran has them, China has them, the U.S. has them, Russia has them, North Korea has them, and there's other, countries out there, militaries that have them, but that's like your main people right there. See? All right, so now people are starting to see like, oh man, because these nations, that's all they're talking about right now, they're trying to, they're spending money on their ICBMs, their supersonic missiles and all that, Now, you have missiles in space, you have nuclear submarines, it's about to get very terrible out here, ladies and gentlemen. Very terrible, because when those missiles go off, it's total destruction and annihilation, It's not like, somebody gets shot or a tank, a piece of a building, might, be destroyed. No, when these ICBMs, what that are carrying nuclear warheads are actually shot off, it totally destroys everything in its path. It ain't no like, oh hey, like that was crazy, that hurt a little bit, but I survived. No, okay, it's total annihilation. All right, total devastation. So let's get that again. Hebrews chapter 11 and verse 7. By faith, Noah, being warned of the good things that of the things not seen as yet, moved with fear. So that's why the prophets move with fear, because they heard the report. Okay, they believe in the Lord. See and you got some preppers out there, people, doomsday preppers, so to speak. People who are just prepping, they're seeking the truth and they're seeing it now, So, but can you imagine the prophets, because the Lord actually deals with his prophets, let's get that real fast. Let's go to Amos. Let me get this real fast. Amos, right here. Amos chapter 3. So right here, Amos chapter 3 and verse 6 and let's see. We'll go down to the 8th verse. Amos chapter 3, verse 6 down to the 8th verse. Shall a trumpet be blown in the city, and the people not be afraid? Question mark. Right, because do you hear this message? It's not just about, all right, the prophets are out there just giving the people a hard time, ruining their day. No, the prophets are out there warning people, like, yo, these nations are about to go to war with each other. They're about to launch off these ICBMs. It's about to get very real out here. There's about to be a massive food shortage. Okay, there's about to be total anarchy out here, civil unrest, because people are gonna rise up against their own government leaders, politicians. Why? Because there's going to be no answers, no food, water, your basic essentials to survive. Remember, the power is going to be shut off, the gas is going to be shut off. So you imagine a society without power. Everything runs on power. How would people withdraw money from their banks? Power. If there's no power, you can't withdraw money. All right, people. There's a lot of people that work off their laptops. There's a lot of people that work off apps. You need power for your phones. You know, a lot of people work from their phones, you know, apps. When there's no power, that's it. So all that is gone. All computers, phones, communication is done. You know, without power, this place is going to be completely crippled. You know, how are people going to cook their food without power? How are people gonna keep their food good? You know, because some people have freezers and stuff like that for their meat. That's all gonna go bad. You know. See, shall there be evil in the city? Evil means bad times, and the Lord Yahweh Shemel Shai has not done it? Question mark. Because the Lord is bringing all these judgments. All right, because the Lord is fed up with this wicked society. Okay, with this wicked kingdom, and now He's just gonna lay these simpletons down. Okay, now He's just gonna lay these simpletons down. Here's the point. Check it out. Amos 3:7. Surely the Lord Yahweh Shemel Shai power will do nothing, but He revealeth His secrets unto His servants the prophets, because the prophets actually get, you know, the Lord deals with the prophets, you know, through visions, dreams. Sometimes, you know, the Lord will actually, you know, speak to him like in a dream or however, you know. But the Lord actually deals with His prophets. You know, just like you at work, you know, your boss communicates with you, tells you, okay, look, this is what you do. The Lord actually deals with the prophets, you know. The prophets are not out there just saying, oh yeah, you know, the Lord told me this and that. No, the Lord actually gives messages to His prophets. You know? Imagine that. You know, the prophets actually communicate with the creator of the universe. Imagine. Verse 8, the lion hath roared. Who would not fear? Who would not fear? Who's the lion of the tribe of Judah? Yahweh Shai. Okay? The Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai has spoken. Who can but prophesy? See? Because the prophets are out there, you know, prophesying, but whose words are they? They're the Lord's words. Alright? Because the prophets are just doing their job. Yeah, they're strong men, you know. They have extraordinary knowledge. But we're not supposed to glorify the prophets. You know, we're not supposed to pray to the prophets or to the angels. We're only supposed to pray to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. Alright, because the prophets are just doing their jobs. They're servants of the Most High Yahweh and His Son Yahweh Shai. Okay? I mean, yeah, you can thank them and be like, hey man, you know, thanks for the message and for the edification and stuff like that. But, you know, the prophets are doing their job. They're set up from the heavens to warn you. See that? Hebrews chapter 11 verse 7. By faith Noah, being warned of the Most High Yahweh of things not seen, as yet moved with fear. Because can you imagine the Lord said, hey look, I'm about to drown these clowns. You know, build that ark, get the gopher wood, you know, build that ark out. And, you know, the Lord said, I'm going to save, you know, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Okay, and their wives, your wife, which is a total of 8 people. And the Lord told Noah, and everybody else, I'm going to drown these clowns. Same thing in this time, but the Lord is going to melt the people out here with the ICBMs. And those that survive, the Lord, the angels, 144,000 are going to get you with lasers. Yep. The wicked, of course. Okay, the righteous, you guys are going to be, you guys are in good hands. Okay, the Lord's going to cover you. Remember that. All right. The righteous, you guys have help out here, but the wicked's through. Okay, but remember, they do have a small time. Okay, they do have a small little window to bring that martial law. Okay, to shut down society. All right, but you got to understand that, you know, this society is about to be shut down out here. All right, the left-hand side, yes, they had that small window. Okay, to bring in martial law, put people in guillotines, you know, gun down Jake on the street, but that's a small little window. Okay, it's not going to be years and years and years. It's just a small little window. Moved with fear, prepared an ark to the saving of His house, by the which He condemned the world, and became heir of the righteousness which is by faith. Verse 8, by faith Abraham, when he was called to go out into a place which he should not after receive for an inheritance, obeyed, and he went out, not knowing whither he went. See that? Because Abraham, okay, Yahushai, all right, John the Baptist, they were all outside. Okay, they were always outside. Verse 9, by faith he sojourned, okay, the land of promise, as in a strange country, dwelling in tabernacles with Isaac and Jacob, the heirs with him of the same promise. See that? Because it's a promise from the Lord. All right, it's a covenant. The Lord made a covenant that he's going to choose Israel again. All right, so with that, that's it on today's lesson on faith. All right, keep the faith. It's very important because you got to have it. It's a must. Faith is going to get you over these hurdles. When you're in tough times, faith is going to get you through these obstacles. All right, because remember, when you're going through a hard week, when you're going through hard times, reach into your spiritual battery pack. Your backpack. Reach into your spiritual battery pack and grab out that faith. That faith and trust in the Lord is going to get you through these hurdles, get you through these bad times. It may not be easy. You may be like, damn, it don't feel good. Of course it don't feel good. A fight's not called a fight because it's easy, baby. And remember out there, ladies and gentlemen, Akim and Aqua, just because you get hit doesn't mean that the fight's over, baby. All right? On your feet, soldier. Stay strong. Shalom.